What if I told you that one of the biggest criticisms against XRP, its massive circulating supply, might be a complete illusion, and that this misunderstanding could be setting the stage for a supply shock so severe it happens almost overnight? This isn't my theory. It's a compelling argument made by a market pundit named Versan Aljarrah, the co-founder of Black Swan Capitalist. He's claiming that the real, available supply of XRP is much lower than what you see on tracking sites like CoinMarketCap, and that a convergence of factors could cause that available supply to effectively collapse, sending the price in one direction only, up. Now, to understand this, we have to look at the numbers everyone sees. According to CoinMarketCap, XRP has a circulating supply of about 59.61 billion tokens. That's a lot, especially when you compare it to BNB's 139 million or Solana's 542 million. This high supply is the main reason why XRP's price per token is lower, even though its total market cap is enormous, sitting around $180 billion when it's above $3. But Versan Aljarrah insists that this public number is misleading. He argues that once you remove the tokens that aren't actually available for trading on the open market, the real supply is drastically smaller. What are these unavailable tokens? Primarily, the 35.3 billion XRP held in escrow by Ripple across 14 wallets. These are locked away and released gradually according to a set schedule. On top of that, we have to consider the large balances held by big institutions and founders. These are not tokens that are being actively traded day to day. Therefore, if you subtract these essentially locked up tokens from the total supply, the number of XRP actually available for you and me to buy is significantly lower than the reported 59 billion. This creates a fundamental picture that most casual investors are missing. The market is operating under the assumption of a huge supply, when the liquid, tradable supply might be far more constrained. Now, here's where Aljarrah's idea of an overnight collapse of supply comes in. He points to the growing narrative of real-world asset tokenization. This is the concept of putting things like debt, stablecoins, and even gold on a blockchain. Major players, including Ripple's CTO David Schwartz, have confirmed the XRP ledger is pivoting to this sector. A recent report from the firm Bitwise even highlighted the XRPL as a key network that could lead the tokenization market and suggested that buying XRP is one of the best ways to invest in this trend. But for the XRP ledger to become the settlement layer for a $1 trillion tokenized asset market, it would need massive amounts of XRP to facilitate all those transactions and provide liquidity. Therefore, if this demand materializes and institutions need to acquire large amounts of XRP to use its utility, they will be going after a much smaller available supply than anyone anticipated. This sudden, massive demand hitting a limited liquid supply is what could cause a supply shock. The available tokens would be snapped up incredibly fast, causing the circulating supply to effectively collapse overnight from a trading perspective. And basic economics tells us what happens next. When demand drastically outstrips supply, prices soar. So, the current price struggle and the focus on the high total supply might be obscuring a very different reality. The argument from analysts like Versan Aljarrah is that we shouldn't just look at the total number of tokens, but at the number of tokens actually available to buy. And if the utility-driven demand for XRP arrives as predicted, that available supply might not just be low, it might virtually disappear, creating a scenario that could push the price to levels few are expecting right now. It's a fascinating, and for holders, a very bullish perspective. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.